Hey, hello, welcome, and good morning. Morning! Such a blessing to get another chapter or two on such a cold morning. Greetings, everyone, from very cold South Africa. South Africa, good morning. A very cold South Africa. Ooh. Welcome, welcome. Greenall, hello. I have a Willy here with me, assistant. I was just gonna give her a sock. Oi, it's falling out already. This is a sock that I have tied up. There's a tiny hole in it that is made there. Sock. How to use your old socks. I obviously washed it one last time, and then it's like, now this is Willow's sock. Yeah, it's your sock. It's your sock. Use it. That will keep her occupied for a little while at least. Always something. But yes, indeed, today we're going to be blessed with 2 more chapters of A Soldier's Life that we started up again yesterday, all of a sudden, from nowhere. I just felt like this is the shit that we should do. I barely feel like I need to do like a last time because it was just 2 chapters. But I will do it anyway. We'll do it anyway. Last time on A Soldier's Life, we realized that Cassius is even dumber than we thought. He cannot read maps for shit, and he's a fucking asshole. So he sends Renna and Eric out into the woods and be like, you scout ahead, do the last thing, and we will go home. Fuck you guys. So they go there. But Eric has fucking Earth Pulse, or whatever the fuck it's called. Earth Sense. I think it's Earth Pulse. Like I said the first time, Earth Pulse. I'm just gonna, it's Earth Pulse now. And he's like, there are orcs here. Renna, go get fucking help. And then it turns out that it's 9 orcs. But is that an issue for Eric, who has slain a fucking dragon? No, it isn't. He just kills them all. And now he just sits there, probably in their blood, listening to the birds. Watson grabs Mo by one hand, aggressively smile, let go, runs away. Hello. My God, I've been attacked. Hello, Eagle. Welcome, welcome. So now we're gonna see how he explains this. I killed 9 orcs. Hehehehe. Is he gonna hide some bodies? It was actually 3 orcs, guys, which is also impressive. I would assume. Just one is impressive. But that's more doable, at least. So let's see. Chapter 203 Orcs Torment. I guess it won't go so good. Only 1 orc was still breathing. Oh, okay. He killed 8 orcs. My fucking bad. He defeated 9 orcs. He was unconscious, and the spear had severed his spine. He's dead. As I worked the spear out of him, he stifled a groan. When his eyes focused on me standing over him, he could feel the tip of the spear at his throat. Do you speak Telian? Telian. His black eyes focused on me, radiating pain and hate. Not good, Legionnaire. Excellent. Why are you here? I feel like if you speak, like, you can't say that you don't speak a language good if you know the word legionnaire in any other language. Like, then you speak that language. I demanded, pressing the tip tightly downward. Whoa. It parted the skin too easily. What is happening? What am I? What is this, dude? NSFDW. What the fuck? I demanded, pressing the tip lightly downward. It parted the skin too easily. So I retracted the brush. Damn. Instead of answering, his hand moved to his belt. Oi! And I shifted my weight forward, pushing the spear through his neck. I should have tied him up before questioning him. I really needed to add rope to my dimensional space. Wow, that was a journey. I did 2 quick arcs with a spear to clean the blood before sending it to my dimensional space. I put on the ether channeling ring to help expedite my ether replenishment. I rested the collection. I rested the collector on his chest and activated it. A major essence for endurance formed shortly. I studied the dark blue essence for a moment. Wait, I was too much. I was too. Did he kill him? I was too much. She's away for pushing his spear through. All right, he pushes through his neck. I was in another world, dude. And I was like, wait, did he die? Okay, he died. He did. Killed 9 orcs. I studied the dark blue essence for a moment, reflecting on where it had come from and how dispassionate I had become about killing. I hadn't hesitated in combat, and my mind had been crystal clear the entire time. The one thing I noted that ironically scared me a little was the absence of fear. I had changed immensely, and my thoughts only focused on how to kill my enemy and limit the injuries to myself. My thoughts turned to Renna. Had I failed to protect her? If she had remained with me, there was no way I could have protected her from the 9 attackers. I regretted yelling angrily at her to run, but it had to be done. I began to worry about her injury. Had she flown in the correct direction? Did she have enough ether to return to the tower or find the group? Would she encounter other orcs or a beast? I hesitated, thinking I should go and find Renna. My indecisiveness lasted for minutes while I used the collector. I decided to remain here and wait as night was almost upon me. The sky was cloudy, and it could be a dark night, and not wise to wander the woods blind. In all, I ended up with 8 essences. 1 orc didn't return an essence, even though the density of the etheric smoke seemed enough to form one. For major essences, I had 2 of endurance, 2 of dexterity, and 1 of quickness. The 3 minor essences I harvested were perception, quickness, and coordination. Now it feels like we're back in the labyrinth for some reason, because he's because I was like, which one will maybe get? And I'm like, maybe it is not here. I couldn't. Oh my god. I consumed the major quickness essence, getting slight motion sickness for a few steps as it worked through my body. I dragged all the I dragged all the orcs together in a row and pulled the floating hound's body out of the muddy water. It felt wrong to try the collector on him, and he had probably been dead for an hour anyway. 9 orc bodies, and one needed a head. I deposited the head from my dimensional space and jumped back, reaching for my sword. The eyes of the orc looked around wildly for a few seconds before light faded from his eyes forever. I shook my head and couldn't help but darkly chuckle. Darkly chuckle. I started searching all the bodies. Surprisingly, the orcs had no smell to them. Since they were orcs, I expected them to smell dirty. Oh, that's racist. Each had 2 or 3 vials on them that I assumed were potions, but they were all unmarked. Of the pile of 22 vials, 10 were green and 12 were light blue. The light blue had glitter in the suspension when I inspected them with a glowstone behind them. Light blue was the color of the potion vial I had shattered, so I assumed these were orc healing potions. I didn't break the wax seal on any of them and sent all 22 to my space. So, is there a difference between orc healing potions and healing potions? Because he said that the one he broke. Oh, wait, because he broke one of the orcs' potions. Correct? Because someone was going to take a potion and he broke it. Because I thought, because he used a potion, because he used the elf potion. So it's like, because, it's just like, oh, really? Are healing potions blue in this universe? I had not noticed if that was the case before. But I guess maybe if it's blue, it heals orcs? Maybe, or just all of them are blue, I don't know. Most of their weapons were good forged steel, but nothing exceptional. There was one runic short sword among the longer blades. It was not dungeon forged, but clearly a runic weapon by the markings along the blade. It was much lighter than it should have been as well, so it was not steel, but maybe an aluminum or titanium alloy. I swung it a few times and did not like the feel of it. A weapon's mass helps apply force to your strikes, but this blade felt like a toy in my hand. I sent it to my dimensional armory and would probably forget about it. It may be a good weapon for a child or a woman. I did. I don't know. I did find 2 good skinning knives among the weapons, and they were the only other blades I took. What is it called? Misogynistic? I don't even know the words. I don't care. The orc bows were larger than the compact short bows the legionnaires used. I tested the draw weight on both and found them underpowered for my drawstring. The arrows were thicker, but lighter than the Italian arrows and were made of black wood, or perhaps they were stained black. Unfortunately, I had already gotten acquainted with them during the fight. The feathered fletchlings were black as well. Fletchings were black as well. I took all 22 arrows and 2 quivers into my dimensional space. Looking back at the orc bodies and what they were wearing, I realized they really liked the color black. Of course, they have style. Most likely, their ensemble was so they could move better under the cover of darkness. But how had the orcs camouflaged themselves? I doubted they were mages, as none used spells during the fight. Maybe the intricate tattoos didn't enhance their physical attribute. Maybe this was an assassin squad. They were certainly smaller orcs than the imposing ones from the arena. Maybe they were hunting Renna. Why Renna? Specifically Renna, or just like any mage child that they could find? The night was settling in, and I made my way to one of the massive evergreen trees and climbed to a wide branch about 40 feet off the ground. I sent my pauldron and graves to storage so I could climb faster if needed. Up or down. I sprinkled some myconid powder below and settled down in view of the row of bodies below. I had 2 of each of my pellets in hand. Smoke, blindness, and sneezing, as I took short naps during the night. The clouds hadn't cleared, and it was near complete darkness as I waited till morning. Waiting alone in the woods is not a comfortable feeling when you have seen the horrors I had. Every brief span of sleep was a nightmare of some creature finding me in the tree. giant weasels. I forgot about those. Orcs, hill giants, wyverns, and goblins flitted through my thoughts. After a few hours of short naps, I felt rested from my ring and focused on the sounds of the forest. My ether core was full, so I sent the channeling ring to storage, and the enhanced ether burn faded. I was only sustaining my spell form for slow aging now. Four coyotes trotted below me, but after sniffing the orcs, they continued on, oddly passing on the free meal. The only other encounters of the night were when I surprised a gray. I was so ready to say wolf because I saw the WL and then it's like, it's an owl, and I couldn't stop myself. The only other encounters of the night were when I surprised a gray owl that landed nearby on my branch and a large skunk passing below me. As soon as the sky grayed, announcing the sun's imminent arrival, I climbed down and put on my pardons and greaves. I started to circle the area using my Earth Speak skill. I located the bodies of two more hound trainers beyond the marker tree. As Sophia had said, these hounds must have been out there for the mage trainers. I made a wider circle, still searching, but I didn't find what I was looking for. So maybe it wasn't Earth Pulse, I guess it's Earth Speak. My bad. Where is my dog? Oh. The orcs must have packs of gear, food, and equipment nearby. The orcs were good, as I couldn't find any markings noting their path. Constantine would be upset with my failure as I eventually gave up, surrendering to the possibility they had used magic to conceal their path. Yes, that must be what they did, and what I would tell Constantine if it ever came up. I returned to the row of bodies, 3 hounds and 9 orcs. Flies were buzzing even in the cold morning air, laying eggs for the next generation. And I meant, oosh! Killed them all. I moved a distance away and settled on a rock with a tree to support my back. If no one came by midday, I would head back on my own. Of course, it started raining an hour later. I was sheltered under the tree, but large drops splashed on my helm every minute or so. Mid-morning, I spotted a movement in the light rain. I remained seated and studied the trees. Definitely hounds and not orcs. At least 2, maybe 3. A flash of movement far to my right told me they had gotten closer than I thought. I waited on the hounds, remaining completely still, but easily visible. They were being extremely cautious even though I had laid out the enemy in plain sight. It took almost an hour before a gray-haired hound walked boldly from the deeper woods. I recognized him immediately. It was Cornelius. The old man paused at the row of orcs. I remember Cornelius as Constantine's quote-unquote master, like a leader or the one who taught him the shit, I think. The old man paused at the row of orcs, walking down the line, inspecting each one. When he reached the hounds, he kneeled and inspected them more closely. I guessed he was determining how they had been killed. Finished, he stood and walked toward me, standing over me as I had not stood. "Are you injured, Legionnaire?" he asked. His body was tense, ready to react to any threat I posed. "Just tired. Is Renna okay?" I said, meeting his eyes. "The red-haired mage. She's fine and has been healed. Returned late last night. She created quite a storm, even attacked First Citizen Cassius, blaming him for your death. Looks like she underestimated you." Cornelius told me, a smile forming on his lips. Underestimating me is common. Is Renna in danger? I stood slowly to appear non-threatening. I assumed there were multiple hounds in the woods. Where is Cinna? Chancellor Cinna, he stressed her title. She was tracking the 2 gnoll packs in the area to make sure they didn't interfere with the mage testing. He waved behind him. We thought the gnolls were the only threats in the area. Orc pathfinders this far from the coast is a surprise. As to your red-haired mage, Cinna interceded. The attack never landed, although Cassius is still screaming for her head. For her head. Orc pathfinders, not assassins. Maybe I had assumed they were assassins because they wore all black. The Caliphate definitely uses them as such as well. They are similar to our hounds or the rangers of the Barbaradians. They work in groups of 9, usually all related in some way, and perform a variety of tasks for the Supreme. What were they doing here? And what is the function of their tattoos? I questioned the man. He looked over his shoulder at the bodies. Most likely stealth spell forms. That group was probably an advanced scouting detachment. One of the trainers might have talked, and they thought they could eliminate some promising young mages. It was a bold move and probably a signal that things are about to get a lot more interesting very soon. His voice was laced with sarcasm. We will get some heads to a necromancer to confirm. His voice turned serious. So, how did you do it? 9 dead, and all you have is a hole in your cuirass and dozen scratches. Yeah, Ignis had put a lot of work into repairing and making the resin hide armor look new, and now it looked like I had been in a serious fight. Well, he was. Mostly luck. Renna helped, freezing one in the pond. I managed to fight them in pairs as they were spread out for an ambush. I eventually took an arrow to the knee. I fingered the hole above my heart. But by then, there were just 3 left. Fortuna was smiling at me as well because my black blade is an orc's bane. Not only did it cause them immense pain, but it also prevented them from healing. Cornelius eyed me skeptically, so I drew the blade and handed it to him. He took it and shook his head as the luster it had gained was already fading. Orc's bane. Interesting name. If it does what you want, then it is called the Orc's Torment. About 100 were forged centuries ago, and very few remain. Where did you get it? He asked patiently. It was wielded by the captain of the guard in the Angela family. First citizen Boris Angela lost it to me in a bet, I told him, and he chuckled. Then I was correct. I even had the name right, because I was like, it was Boris. I hope I said Boris. I feel like I did. Dude, memory. Ah, yes, I recall now. The Dreamscape amulet bet. He said it like we were sharing a joke, but I didn't like that he knew about the amulet. Hounds began to move closer from the trees, and I must have missed Cornelius giving them an all-clear sign. They were on the bodies, searching them. Take the heads for the necromancer to commune with. We will find out why they were here, he ordered. He returned the black blade. You need to continue feeding it orc blood. Most of these purpose blades deteriorate and weaken. I am guessing the Angela guard captain rarely used it in battle. Cornelius seemed to be considering the devastation. You know, we were having trouble getting you into the hounds because you are a foreigner. I think you just helped your case. We are in desperate need of hounds who can do this. He waved his hand at the line of bodies that were being beheaded. I guess they only needed a head to talk with the dead. Yeah, that's what he said like 3 times. But okay. Are we heading back? I asked as the hounds finished their grisly work. No, you can stay here. You know what? You just live out your days here in this in the pond. Eager to see your red-haired mage, are we? Cornelius smirked at me. I am sure Cinna is eager to talk with you as well. He laughed at my shock and added, the young, fiery-tempered one as well. The hounds found the gear packs of the orc pathfinders deep in the woods, and soon 7 hounds and 5 hound trainers were escorting me back to the Knoll Gardens tower. Okay, so I guess it went fine. Good enough, at least. And there was the sword that is named Orc's Torment. Oh. And not that Eric would be tormented about the orcs. Chapter 204. Shocking Cinna. I followed the hounds back to the Knoll Garden Tower. The hounds moved off to serve as a screen, and Cornelius joined them intermittently, but circled back to walk with me a number of times. He was curious to learn more about me, and I wanted to learn about the hounds. As we walked, I realized this was an informal interview, as we exchanged questions. I asked of the dead hounds at one point. The men who were killed, were they hounds? Hound trainers. The hound trainers lack a spell form that is useful for assignments. However, they are exceptionally skilled, and their absence will be felt. All 3 men were expert trackers. I thought it was only one. Despite his clinical response, there was a hint of sorrow in his voice. It was reassuring to know he wasn't entirely heartless. Cornelius was responsible for all the hounds in the Eastern Empire. Tell me your thought process during the fight, he asked after rejoining me after checking on the right flank. It was a broad question. He already knew I had an air shield, dimensional space, and I could heal. Castile had downplayed my healing ability considerably to Antonia and Cinna. I considered my response carefully. I couldn't defend Renna, so I told her to flee. He stopped me, holding up his hand. How did you spot them? He wanted the story from the beginning. The birds were silent. I didn't know it was orcs. I just knew there was a likely threat in the area. I pretended to reflect on the encounter. The muddy pond water seemed the most suspicious, so I asked Renna to freeze it, thinking there was a threat in it. As she was freezing it, the orc pathfinders attacked. All right, because he doesn't want to say that he has earth speak. Ah, he grunted. We then got into me explaining the fight itself. I was never asked about my weapon, and I think he assumed I only used Orc's Torment for the fight. I wondered if he could tell the difference in weapons when examining the wounds in the bodies. Thinking on it, only the first orc I killed by slicing open his leather armor could have been suspicious, as the fine cut through the chest armor would have been nearly an impossible feat with a sword. Cornelius asked his questions, circled out, and then came back for more questions over the 6-hour walk back. He was getting 3 questions to my 1. I was mainly asking about what to look forward to in training to become a hound. His answers were extremely brief, but I learned a little of the hounds. The hounds were selected on 3 criteria and needed to be sponsored. The 3 criteria were their combat ability, having a useful spell form, and a modicum of intelligence. He grumbled that the sponsor sometimes overlooked the 3rd criterion. Each class of hounds started with 20 and typically graduated with 3 functional groups of 5 or 6, called packs. Of course they do. Because they're little wolfies. Those not in a group either didn't graduate or become independent operatives. The independent operators were usually assigned as messengers or served as sentries on the Empire's border. Cornelius said some individuals just did not work well in a group. As he finished explanation, he stated, "That is what you are destined for, Legionnaire. You will serve as a sentry for a year or 2 before we make certain efforts to make sure you are moved to the archives." 2 or 3 years? Isn't there a war brewing? I asked, before he could move away again. I didn't think this whole process was going to take years. There is always a war brewing. The Empire will come out of this. Maybe a little scarred, but it will come out of it, Cornelius said confidently before moving off. I had my doubts. When we finally reached the tower, I followed Cornelius inside and found the accommodations sparse. A haggard Cinna was talking with the 2 mages who escorted my group. They looked exhausted, which surprised me, as I had done all the fighting. Cinna only looked up briefly, her tone harsh. I guess the mage instructor looked wary from Cinna berating them. Cinna barked at Cornelius. The young mages had already been shipped on the barge back to the capital. She paused, stunned to see me enter behind him. He lived? The breath left her. I turned around, pretending to look for someone behind me. Who? Me? Dude. Eric. Always does this. I asked innocently, facing her. A smile creased her face, and there was immense relief. You can handle 6 trainer pathfinders by yourself, Cinna stated with a smirk. Impressive. It was 9, a full squad, all dead by your man, Cornelius interrupted. We have the heads of the pathfinders and will have a necromancer question them in the capital. Cinna waved her hand dismissively. They will find nothing. For the last 200 years, the Caliphate pathfinders have been warded against the commune with dead spells. What? We are better off questioning your dead hound. How many are lost? Cornelius pursed his lips. 3 dead. Still, we will try with the orcs. Others are retrieving the hound's bodies to be brought back to the capital. Cinna nodded approvingly. Imagine if they, we just need a head to their own hound as well. Ah, and here's the head. I wish to talk with my sentinel alone now, Cinna said pointedly at Cornelius and the two mages. The mages hastily exited, happy to get away from their admonishment. Admonishment. I guess they had received dressing down from the incident and allowing the group to separate. Hopefully Cassius got the same treatment. I surveyed the room. Wooden stairs led to the tower's second level, and this room seemed to be a functional kitchen and dining room with worn oak tables. Dirty dishes and half-eaten food were scattered on the tables. I guess the Pathfinder ambush had surprised those in the middle of a meal. I wondered how many hounds and trainers were stationed here, as I counted 28 chairs. Cinna had sat at a clean table, and I joined her. The act of sitting after the long walk was welcome, and I sighed as the chair supported my weight. I shifted to get my leather skirt comfortable. The arrow I had taken from behind had damaged a few leather flaps. I summoned a canteen to my hand and drank, as Cinna had not asked a question yet and just studied me. When I finished the entire canteen, it disappeared. Is Renna okay? I asked, letting out a silent belch as my stomach settled. Cinna ignored my question, leaned forward and asked seriously, Do you think the orcs were targeting her? No, why? I replied, confused. But you did, you kinda did though. You think that it could be a possibility at least. Now that she has learned to cast true spells, she is the most promising mage of her generation. Eliminating her before she comes into her power would be a strategic move by the orcs, Cinna stated tiredly. I shook my head. She took an arrow, but they didn't focus on her when they revealed themselves. They probably could have killed her if they tried. True. Cinna heaved a tired sigh. Her tone was annoyed. She is not all right. The foolish girl attacked Cassius. I thought you stopped the attack, I said, concerned. I did. The attack was not even close, but it did singe the hair of everyone within 20 feet and was clearly directed at First Citizen Cassius. I am sure he is already in the capital, whining to anyone who will listen to how reckless Mage Renna is, and how she is a traitor to the Empire. I clenched my hands. We should head back to Tella immediately then. Cinna laughed, finding my concern touching. Don't worry. Renna will be fine. You just said she's not alright. You just said, I quote, her tone was annoyed. And now you're like, she's completely fine. Dude, you were the one who said she's not fine. I understand though what she means, but still. Don't worry, Renna will be fine. It is not the first time a mage has attacked another at the college. You, on the other hand, might not be after she sees you alive. She is quite angry with you for yelling at her to leave you behind. Her guilt was eating her alive and probably why she attacked Cassius. Yeah. She would be dead if I didn't, I stated flatly. I agree, but that is not how the young woman will see it. Be on guard when you see her next. The barge should be back to collect us soon. Are you hungry? She gestured at the open kitchen. Are you? I asked, thinking she wanted me to cook for her. No, I'm fine. She turned over a heavy coin in her hand as she needed something to focus on. We sat in silence for a while. Do you still want lessons from the gladiator champion? I inquired, and he was not inexpensive. You have earned a reward for keeping Renna alive. Yes, I have been practicing with the Imperial Legionnaires, but time with one of the best fighters in the capital would be welcome. Time in the library as well, I added hastily. I will not have time to chaperone you, she noted sadly. With the Pathfinders this far south, it means the fire is lit. There will be a reprisal? Something. She seemed to consider and smiled, amused as something came to her. Maybe I can swing Renna's punishment to be your shadow while you read in the library. We were waiting for word that the barge had returned, but another mage entered and whispered something to Cinna that made her frown deeply. As the mage retreated, Cinna informed me. These were not the only Pathfinders taking action in the Empire. The displacement mage in Varveo was attacked last night as well. I was extremely confused. Varveo? That is in the Western Empire, over 1,000 miles from here. Look who's integrated into society. Cinna was distracted thinking and didn't respond immediately. She stood and walked around the room while she thought about the implications. The orcs have settlements on the western coast beyond the Agorian swamps. We have been pulling troops from the forts along the swamps to reinforce the east. Varveo has the only replacement mage in 500 miles. It would be the perfect time to invade if the orcs were not planning to be players for the Atlanteum ruins. She was thinking aloud. Why you want to attack? She was thinking aloud, and I pictured the Empire in my mind. The Western Empire had little value and served more as a buffer to the Central Empire, where most of the population lived. If the orcs attacked the west, the Essenhem elves came from the north, and the Bardaradians came from the east. It would mean the Empire would be fighting on 3 fronts. Cinna was just as concerned as she had assumed that everyone would be focused on the giant city. The Supreme Cleric is an opportunistic goblin's bastard, Cinna spat. She stormed out of the tower, and I could hear her asking angrily if the barge had returned yet. It was another hour before the barge arrived. It came with over 50 soldiers from the regular army that reinforced the tower. As I passed the soldiers, I saw that they were mostly untested teenage boys. Their youthful eyes were wide in awe and trepidation as the furious chancellor stormed past them to board the barge. A few tripped over themselves to get out of the way. The trip downriver to return to the capital had the 4 mages on board conversing with Cinna and using sending spells to communicate with other mages across the empire. Cinna was too busy and stressed to keep me updated. When the barge approached the docks, the mage controlling the water couldn't slow our momentum, and we crashed hard into the pier. What fun! What is happening? Loud cracks along the pier pylons sounded, and the activity on the docks paused as the hounds and mages stumbled to the deck. I managed to keep my feet, one of the few on board. Well, brag. I helped and aggravated Cinna to her feet, and we were soon racing to the upper city surrounded by Cornelius and the hounds that had accompanied us. When we reached the gates to the Imperial grounds, Cinna released me. She was off to a war council with the Emperor, and I was told to wait for her in her apartment. I walked the Imperial grounds under escort back to the Mage College. The tension in the air was thick as men in robes raced about as if every second counted. I realized Castile's company was in the Western Empire, escorting the magistrate to evaluate youth for magic potential. If the orcs were invading, it seemed like Castile was a magnet for conflict wherever she went. I contentedly stripped off my armor, examining all the marks from combat on the hard red resin hide surfaces. You learn to trust your armor to take certain parries and angled strikes when you fight. I was shocked by how many marks had been left on my armor by the orcs. It would be amusing to ask Ignis to repair the armor again and see a reaction. The hole in the cuirass above the heart was a chilling reminder that death was only a few inches away. I showered and filled the recessed pool. Then, using my thermal stone, I heated the water to a comfortable temperature before settling in. My future, and the future of the Empire, was uncertain, but I could only live in the moment. Hell yeah, okay. Just had to make sure that it was over. Damn, okay. Well, that went well, but there's a war now, which also Cornelius said, there's always a fucking war. But now the orcs are advancing. The orcs are gonna kill. And they are close to Castile and the company, which is no good. Maybe we'll get 2 chapters to them. Maybe we'll see chapters from their perspective. But I hope they will not get attacked and we will not go there. It's like I want to go there because I like them, but I also want the story to progress, you know. And I like Cinna, and I like Renna, and this is also good. Will be interesting. And I I am looking forward to meeting Renna. I want to see her reaction. I hope I will be able to see it next time. And I will say for the people watching on stream and on the VOD that is all I'm gonna do today because my voice has not been so nice. My throat hurts a bit, so I don't want to push it more than I have to. Not that I have to do this, but I want to do this. So it will be a super short stream today. I'm sorry, but it was this or nothing, so very short stream, but I appreciate it anyway. And I will now go and try to learn some German. To help me learn German, I have, because I started to play a little bit of League of the Legends again, and I've now downloaded the German language pack. So now everyone speaks German. I've only played one game of Seraphine and it was so cursed, dude. It was so cursed. Like, no. Oh. But yeah. That's what I'm gonna have fun with doing. Oh. And build my Lego set. For my birthday, I got Rivendell. Dude, it's so fucking good, dude. I can't even. It's fucking peak. I'm almost halfway through. I don't want it to be over. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. Sorry that it's short, but that's how it goes. I hope you enjoyed anyway. I like these 2 chapters. I think that's good. It will help me mentally. I think this is better. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to go follow me on Smoothsays. On Smoothsays. I'm Smoothsays everywhere. Join the Discord. Follow Willy if you want. And I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Good morning. Or evening, wherever you are. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice rest of your day. See you next time. Hey, bye.